Over the years, people have managed to get their hands on strange artifacts. Some of these have a strange backstory, whereas others are easy to explain. Old objects are known to crack, and if you've ever kept anything away for a long period of time, you'll notice it will most likely look different compared to when you last put it there. Going back a while ago though, this family's doll made the rounds on social media after they discovered that something seemed off. The family in question was said to have purchased the doll for their daughter for Christmas. At the time, the doll was loved by the young girl, but as with most toys, it ended up being placed in the attic. When the daughter was old enough to move out, she asked her parents about the doll, and if they still had it. They remember placing it in the loft, and while they was up there getting it, they decided to have a clean out. The girl remembered that when she placed it in the loft, it was in good condition and didn't have any marks on it. She, along with the family, were looking forward to seeing the doll as they thought it would bring back happy memories of when she used to play with it. However, when taking the doll out the box, the family made an eerie discovery. The once pretty looking doll now looked old and wrinkled. In fact, the family members described the doll as looking aged, and that it even appeared to be mummified. Incredibly, the family described that the doll's face felt like skin, and even had what appeared to be wrinkles running across the entire face. Not surprisingly, the family soon got rid of the doll. Some who have seen the photographs have put forward their idea of what happened. They suggested that because the doll was left for so long, it could have cracked and become discoloured. However, what they couldn't explain is how the doll appeared to have aged. Others have put more out their theories, suggesting that an entity of some kind has inhabited the doll. Paranormal entities over the years have been known to use dolls as vessels, and it's been suggested this is what happened to this doll. As of today though, the eerie aging doll has remained a mystery. The paranormal is a subject that interests many of us. So far though, experts are not convinced that ghosts and other entities are real, and say that most paranormal footage can be explained. However, there are those that have come forward with some interesting proof over the years. This is in the form of photographs and objects. Given the fact that no one knows the true nature of how a curse can occur, it's been a tale often fraught with mystery as much as terror. Though the ways an individual can be cursed can vary depending on culture, one thought that's always been the same is the ownership of an object and what that does to its owner. Often referenced throughout history of cursed objects of whom have brought nothing but horror to its new home, there seems to be a retelling of these same themes to this day in modern tales of cursed objects. These stories tend to find themselves in the ownerships of family filled with misfortune. Going back a few years ago, this eerie looking doll was discovered laying next to a tree in Singapore. It's been reported that if you take the blindfold off the doll, you'll get possessed. They also taped up the eyes because during the nights they allegedly moved. According to the locals, the blindfold has the word Bismillah written on it, which is an Arabic phrase meaning in the name of God. The owner reported that the doll would move on its own and talk through the night. Interestingly, the original owner said the only way to get rid of it and to make sure it won't come back is to cover its eyesight. As you can imagine though, people were skeptical about this, and wanted to know more about the doll. What's strange though is the doll is now missing and no one's come forward saying they own it. It's also known the doll isn't as old as it looks, as it was actually created fairly recently. However, paranormal experts have said this doesn't matter, and if an entity wants to haunt an object, it will, no matter what the age the object is. What's interesting is that many people over the years have come forward with stories of objects being possessed and moving on their own. Some famous cases include that of Robert the Doll and Annabelle the Doll. Interestingly, some paranormal researchers have come forward and suggested this doll is haunted by something known as a ghoul. Throughout Arabic folklore, it's that of a mysterious legends and reports of an entity similar to that of a jinn. This entity is said to be cursed and has to spend the rest of its time roaming uninhabited locations away from people. This entity is known as the ghoul. The ghoul is that of a shape-shifting demonic entity that has been reported as inhabiting cemeteries, wandering through the desert and taking on the forms of animals and loved ones in an attempt to get close to someone. Variations of the ghoul legend claims that once a ghoul devours someone, it will begin to take their form and become stuck in that form until another person is devoured. It's due to this reason why many believe the ghoul inhabits cemeteries, as it allows it to take on the form of a recently deceased loved one and whoever else it chooses. Interestingly, there are a number of theories and reports all throughout Iran and Afghanistan, with many people believing that the demonic entities of the jinn and the ghoul roam the lands in an attempt to continue spreading bad omen. There are even a number of reports from the locals that speak of encounters with the ghoul and jinn. To this day, many people try and do what they can to stay away from this entity. Another mysterious object said to have taken on a life of its own is that of the wedding dress. Back in 1914, an old rumour was told that led many to believe a strange wedding dress was haunted by a woman in white, and that she would visit those of whom owned the dress. The rumour claimed that back in 1849, there was a woman by the name of Anna Baker. She was born to a rich family in the state of Pennsylvania, and had fallen madly in love with a low-class iron worker. Unfortunately for Anna, her father refused to allow her to marry a man from a lower class, and completely forbid the wedding from ever taking place. If Anna and the iron worker were to ever marry, then it would mean that Anna would be forced to live a penniless life with nothing to show for it, as her father would have completely cut her off. The iron worker refused to allow this to happen, and it appeared that the wedding had been completely called off from ever happening. This was despite Anna having already brought the wedding dress for the event. The father had believed that after a few years Anna would have completely forgot about the whole ordeal, and marry within her own class. This turned out not to be the case, as Anna Baker would eventually go on to live the remainder of her life completely single, and never dating ever again, eventually passing away in 1914. Since her passing, it appears that her wedding dress has been cursed with her presence, as those who visit the house in which she lived in that was later turned into a museum will often report seeing apparitions walking about wearing the wedding dress, along with the dress itself often moving on its own inside its display case. For hundreds of years, people have allegedly been encountering ghosts and other entities. Some witnesses report that their encounters are not harmful in any way, and in some cases actually provide them with a sense of hope, whereas others report that these entities are out to get them, and won't stop until the individual is broken down. Thousands of locations across our planet are said to be haunted, and some will even enter these locations with the sole purpose of hopefully seeing something paranormal. Those who have studied the paranormal, however, have said this isn't a good idea. There are thousands of places across our planet that are said to be haunted, and one of these goes by the name of the Point Lookout's lighthouse. It seems this building has a long history with the paranormal. In fact, many researchers claim the lighthouse to be one of the most haunted locations in the United States, and that going to the lighthouse will turn even the most unshakable skeptics into a believer. Many have often reported seeing male and female apparitions appear before them, only to vanish shortly after a picture could be taken. Doors will often open and close on their own accord, and people have also reported hearing noises of heavy footsteps running up and down the lighthouse, along with shouting, screaming, whispering and even snoring. Many have speculated this could be due to the fact that many years ago the spot was once used as a hospital and prison camp for Confederate soldiers during the time of the Civil War. Although the lighthouse went out of operation back in 1985, it still holds an incredible piece of history that can be heard in the hallways of the lookout. So my question to you guys is, what do you make of the paranormal? And have you ever had an experience of your own? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.